Tashi Tobgyal is an award-winning photojournalist with the Indian Express based in New Delhi. He has been taking pictures of the current COVID surge in India. His photographs are highly appreciated by many, not just for his perspective, but for his storytelling too. Let's welcome Tashi Tobgyal. Tashla, it's always so good to have you here on Tibet TV. Thank you so much for always taking out the time to speak with us.
Thank you so much to you.
So Tashla, everyone is aware of the dire situation in India ever since it has witnessed the second wave of COVID-19. It is absolutely heartbreaking to see the unprecedented humanitarian crisis in the entire country. Tashla, you have been taking pictures and capturing the incident. Can you please share with us your experience in capturing these terrible times in photographs?
Since the beginning of the pandemic, the largest number of journalist casualties has been in India. I think it's more than 135, 40 over the past year and a half. And even then, a lot of people in this country seem to be not really heeding to what the situation is currently. A lot of people still do not really think that there is a pandemic and a crisis in the country. So, on my own personal front, when I go out for my assignments every day, especially during the second wave, I've been seeing a lot of mayhem. I've been seeing a lot of families being torn apart. I've been seeing a lot of places like hospitals and crematoriums, which were working beyond capacity. So the situation on the ground is not very good, and especially during the last 1 month, it's been very critical, and it's high time that people actually heed to situations that is around, and also try and register and try to get a vaccine ASAP.
I was going through your post on your Instagram and I was reading your captions where you had mentioned saying that there were some people who were trying to, turn away from the lens, getting agitated on being photographed, while some, they just silently stare into the lens. And you also mentioned saying that it feels inhumane taking these pictures, capturing the agony and despair of other people in this situation. So, Tashla, you must have been going through a lot of emotions. Can you tell us how you, as a photojournalist, feel?
Primarily as a photojournalist, it's my duty to respond to news as it happens. That's what I signed up for, and that's what I have been doing for more than 10 years now. But every time when it is bad news or when it is a sad time, there is a huge sense of guiltiness. You don't feel good taking pictures. You start having questions in your mind because I've been doing it for many years now. So maybe there is some sense of absorption when the camera is in between me and my subject. But even then, let's talk about the situation right now. It was very difficult to shoot because primarily the question that always arises in my mind is, am I doing the right thing? Am I invading into somebody's personal space? But eventually, no matter what, you confirm to yourself that the larger good is when you report things as straight and as truthful and honestly as possible. So that is one thing that gets me going. But otherwise, especially during the pandemic, it's been a very difficult time to actually point my cameras at anyone and any place.
Tashla, one of your most praised picture is of a crematorium staffer cremating the COVID-19 patients in New Delhi. I must say that it is one of the most incredible shot of the entire COVID crisis that's happening in India. Tashla, how do you plan on telling the story? Like, what images drives you towards them and makes you think that this particular shot can give away a lot?
There is nothing like planning that goes into photojournalism. Everything just happens on the spur of the moment. The most important thing that actually comes into role playing is your experience. So basically, during any assignment or during any news event, there will be certain photographs that will always come out, and these are called the definitive images. These are images that will define, that will describe the event. Many of these images that are there from incidents and news stories that happened over the past many years. You talk about Kevin Carter's Vulture and the Child in Sudan, or you talk about the Berlin Monk in Vietnam, you talk about the Bhopal child, by the guy. So I was also fortunate enough to have got one photo that kind of got accepted the public. So this image is basically from a crematorium in Ghazipur, Delhi. It was probably the third or the fourth day in mid-April when large numbers of funerals were taking place. When I went there were at least around 60 bodies that were being burnt at the same time. So I was fortunate enough in the first instance to have a vantage point of climbing onto a building and taking a few top shots. But after a while, then I thought I should actually go down and amongst the fires, among the people and the families, and try getting more better and important photographs. That was an instance where these people who work at the crematoriums, the undertaker or the ones who perform the last rites, not the pandit, but who manually work there. One of them, he was caught in the middle of all the fires, because he was actually sorting out the setting of the logs and things like that. And when it became too hot to bear for that person, he started to run through the fires, in the middle of the fires. So that was when the shot was made. So this shot is not only that it's a nice picture or that I like it or you like it. It's also that there was a purpose to the picture which came out later, and the purpose was that after a while we had been shooting hospitals and patients and people infected with COVID and the oxygen crisis. The whole focus also went on to these many people who are providing this very critical services during this pandemic. And one of the groups of people who are providing these very important services were the undertakers, the people working at funeral grounds, and the people who are working at the graveyards. These people also come from a very neglected section of our society. In terms of caste, nearly all of them are from the lower caste. This was a time when, once again, probably in a larger picture, their issues and their causes also came to the forefront because of these pictures. Not only mine, but a lot of other photographers, because we were also concentrating on these workers at the crematorium. So there was the pictures became popular also for the fact that people started discussing about the plight of these crematorium workers. And yes, naturally, it went on to, irrespective of whatever size, but it went on to garner a lot of public sentiments and support in terms of doing something for these category and section of our society. I think there are certain funds that were set up, and there were certain public collection of assistance for crematorium workers after that.
Absolutely, Tashila. Photographs have the power of creating a lot of awareness to the people, and I'm sure that you must have quite an experience. And I know that it is like, very risky and very scary out there. So, what kind of precautions have you been taking while you are in the midst of the reality that's going on in India?
At a very personal level, I think the risks are too large and the risk is too invisible. I have not tested positive or I have not fallen ill, as to say. But then out in the field, largely you always feel a little unwell. Like when I'm out on my assignments, gradually over the day, I start feeling some soreness in my throat and a bit of dry cough. And I've also experienced that, in between, compared to years earlier, in between, since the last year and a half, there is this thing of missing out on your thoughts or on your ability to think and react. There are many times when I just feel like I forgot something. So maybe it's not a direct side effect, but maybe there is an effect like that. Though when I'm out, I always make sure that I have a double to triple layer mask on my face. I always keep my sanitizer. I'm going into extremely critical locations like an ICU, etc. Then I always have a PP suit with me. But the most important thing is I've always tried to maintain my distance with anything that I doubt or feel not sure about. And overall, even though I carry a huge bottle of sanitizer, I always have made sure that I always carry a packet of soap also. What has kept me off from dangerous situation is washing my hands constantly and using good mask. 2 to 3 layers of mask is what is got me going till now.
Good to know, Tashla, that you are taking all the possible precautions. Anyways, Tashla, you are a skilled photographer, and you are known for your incredible work for covering the report on the Rathol coal mines in East India, the Nepal earthquakes, Kashmiri floods, and the farmers' protest. So, Tashla, what kind of qualities should a photographer possess in order to, achieve the heights that you have?
And photography depends from person to person, right? It's an art form, so basically, it's a form of interpretation. Each individual has their own nature, their own characteristic, and accordingly, they'll have their own interpretation of stuff. I don't think so. There's anything right or wrong in interpretations or in the way people present their work in terms of art. And if you're talking about photography, yeah, I mean, the most important thing that I believe a person should kind of inculcate and train upon oneself to do good pictures is to have a very deep and grounded sense of observation. The more you observe, the more you understand things, and also yes, reading a lot helps. The rest is all experience. If you go to a place to shoot once, and if you go to a place to shoot 10 times, there is a huge difference, and you start projecting in your pictures. But basically, the most beautiful thing about photography is you observe and then you project. So I think that is the primary thing that is required.
Any piece of advice for the aspiring photojournalist?
The amazing thing now is with a lot of technology, with a lot of educational orientation, and exposure, which is limitless as compared to the times when we were wanting to do photography and we were wanting to study photography, is huge. There is a lot of difference, and it also appears that photography itself has become a very democratic art form now. Earlier, it was an expensive art form; everybody couldn't afford it. But now, the whole medium of taking pictures is right there in your pockets, in your smartphones. And nearly everybody can actually afford to do photography. So the amazing thing is, for anybody who is wanting to get into photography is just don't randomly shoot and fill up your hard drives. Make it purposeful. Have a vision to it. Why you want to take pictures? What is it you want to do with it? And every image that you take is important. Many times we feel, oh, this doesn't look good, I'll delete it. You don't do that. You stock up and keep all your images. But the primary, the signature thing that you need to have as a photographer and otherwise is you need to understand why do you want to do it. You need to have a structure built around it. So that is something that I would like to advise anybody who wants to enter this field.
Tashla, thank you so much for sharing us your experience and your incredible knowledge on photography. I know that you're taking a lot of risk by going in the field in terms of your health, and I wish you all the best. We really hope to see more of your work on the social media pages, and thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next episode of In Conversation with Tibet TV.